Hi, my name is Victoria Sparks. I'm the life skills teacher in Bandon, and this is part 4. We're going to start at chapter 10 of Cupid Doesn't Flip Hamburgers. Chapter 10 is called Hand in the Cookie Jar. Before school the next morning, Eddie and Howie met under the big oak tree. "Did you bring it?" Howie asked. "Yes," Eddie said, patting his backpack. "I had to tell Grandma it was a science project to get it out of the house." "It is an experiment," Howie said. "I just hope it works." The two boys quietly walked into the building and straight to the lunchroom. Mrs. Rosenblum was in there, Eddie hissed as he peeked into the kitchen. The two boys saw the red-dressed cook sitting at the counter making heart-shaped sandwiches. Behind her was a big bowl of cookie dough. As the boys were watching, Miss Rosenblum started singing very loudly and off-key. "I love Valentine's Day!" Eddie giggled. "I wish she'd quit that racket. She's hurting my ears." "My love is higher than the highest mountain," Miss Rosenblum bellowed as she added cheese to the sandwiches. "She belongs on a mountain," Eddie said, "like way in the clouds." "Let's forget the whole thing," Howie whispered. "We'll never be able to sneak past her." "She's singing so loud, she'll never hear me. Just watch," Eddie said, pulling a big plastic bag from his backpack. Then he dropped to the floor and started crawling, holding the bag with his teeth. He crawled until he was right behind Miss Rosenblum. Very slowly, Eddie stood up and dumped his anti-love potion into the big bowl of cookie dough. Eddie had just started mixing it when he felt something grab his cheek. It was a big hand with big, bright pink fingernails. So there's Eddie crawling across the floor with the cookie dough, or with the gross mixture in his mouth. "Happy Valentine's Day, little boy. Looks like you've been caught with your hand in the cookie jar," Miss Rosenblum said, still holding onto Eddie's cheek. Eddie's face turned as red as Miss Rosenblum's lipstick. I just wanted to taste one of your famous cookies. Everyone says they're delicious." Miss Rosenblum smiled and let go of Eddie's cheek. "Why, thanks for the compliment, honey. But I understand if you don't have any made yet," Eddie said quickly. "I'll just have to wait." "Don't be silly," Miss Rosenblum grabbed Eddie's arm and pulled him across the kitchen. "I happen to have one left from yesterday. I only give these to good friends, but you look pretty special to me." Miss Rosenblum held up a large cookie. It was covered with globs of red sugar crystals. "Don't be shy," she said. "You can eat it." Eddie opened his mouth to say, "No, thank you," but he didn't get a chance. As soon as he opened his mouth, Miss Rosenblum stuck the cookie in. "Yum," Eddie said with his mouth full. "This is delicious." While Eddie was busy chomping down on the cookie, Miss Rosenblum quickly put a heart button on his shirt. "You're all ready for Valentine's Day," Miss Rosenblum said. "Run along." Eddie met Howie back in the hall. "Did you have to eat a cookie?" Howie squealed. "I didn't have a choice," Eddie complained. "Besides, I'm too tough for that love potion to work on me." "I hope you're right," Howie said, "because here comes Carrie." Chapter 11, Head Over Heels. "Wow," Eddie whispered. "Look at how Carrie's hair bounces." Howie grinned. "If it bounced any more, we could use her head for a basketball." "And it's so shiny," Eddie continued, as if he hadn't heard a word Howie said. "I just love it." Howie stopped and stared at his best friend. "What did you just say?" "I just noticed how nice Carrie looks, that's all," Eddie said. Eddie smiled at Carrie, and Carrie smiled back. She was looking at Eddie and didn't watch where she was going. Wham! Carrie walked right into Ben, the meanest, toughest bully in the 4th grade. So there's Carrie on the ground, and Eddie and Howie fighting in the background. They both fell, scattering books and homeworks everywhere. "I better help. Ben's liable to beat her up." Eddie rushed over to Carrie and helped her. Then he scrambled to pick up her things. "Sorry," Ben apologized. "I didn't mean to run into you." "What's got into him?" Eddie asked as Ben walked away. "He's usually so mean." Carrie shrugged her shoulders, then batted her eyes at Eddie. "It was because you were protecting me. You probably saved my life." Eddie stood up straight. "It was nothing. I'd be honored to carry your things to class," he said with his best grown-up voice. "Psst, we have a mission to accomplish," Howie called from across the hall. "Can't you see I'm busy here?" Eddie snapped. "Carrie needs my help." "But what about our other plan?" "What plan?" Carrie asked sweetly. Eddie smiled at her. "Howie and I were doing a little cooking, but I don't want to anymore." "What about Miss Rosenblum's cookies?" Howie said. Carrie patted her stomach. "Those are the best cookies I've ever tasted." Maybe you should try one, Eddie told Howie. Then Eddie walked Carrie into the classroom. Howie slumped against the wall. He's head over heels for Carrie. Now what am I going to do? It looks like you need some sweetening up, a voice called in the hall. Howie jumped to see Miss Rosenbloom staring at him. I don't need anything, he said. Now, sweetie, you're as sour as a lemon peel. One of my special cookies will put a smile on your face. No thanks, Howie stammered, and backed around the corner. He ran to Liza and Melody. We've been looking all over for you, Melody said. Have you decided? Decided what? Howie asked. Which one of us you like better, silly? Liza giggled. Howie glared at the girls. I'm beginning to think I don't like either of you. Liza sniffed. How dare you even think that? I'm sorry, Howie said. I didn't mean it. Well, Melody said loudly and crossed her arms, you're going to have to decide, and that's all there is to it. Liza crossed her arms and tapped her foot on the floor. Both girls stared at Howie. Howie began. Yes, Melody and Liza leaned closer to Howie. Howie took a deep breath. There was one thing to say. I will make my decision right after lunch. Both girls walked into the classroom whispering, I bet he likes me better. Howie gulped. He knew today he wouldn't feel much like eating lunch. He hoped that Miss Rosenbloom hadn't seen Eddie throw the anti-love potion into her cookie batter. It was his only chance. As a matter of fact, it was the only chance Bailey Elementary had. So there's Melody and Liza arguing over who Eddie likes better, or who Howie likes better. Chapter 12, Puppy Dog Tales. By lunchtime, Howie was feeling sick. He walked by himself to the lunchroom. Everyone else was blowing kisses and making goo-goo eyes at each other. Filing through the lunch line, Howie caught a glimpse of Miss Rosenbloom's newest batch of cookies. There was a huge heart-shaped tray piled high with them. But today, the cookies weren't bright red. They were sort of brown and splotchy. Yes, Howie said to himself, the anti-love potion was in there. But would it work? Miss Rosenbloom shook her head. I'm not sure what happened. I followed my usual recipe, but today they look different. And for some reason, there's enough for the entire school. Help yourself. So there's Howie at the lunch table, and everybody else behind him is all goo-goo-eyed. He grabbed a handful of cookies, and the pile dwindled. Howie took his tray to the table in the corner of the cafeteria. He picked at his heart-shaped potato cake and looked around the room. Eddie was giggling with Carrie at the table in the corner. Liza and Melody were winking at him. Ben and Izzy were staring into each other's eyes. Even Miss Jeepers was giving half her sugar cookie to Principal Davies. Howie held his breath. People were eating the cookies. Yuck, Principal Davy bellowed, spitting the cookie everywhere. This is the worst cookie I've ever tasted. What's in them? Puppy dog tails, Howie chuckled to himself. Miss Rosenbloom rushed out of the kitchen as the kids all over the cafeteria complained about the cookies. What's wrong? She asked. These cookies are horrible, Princess Davies told her. Miss Rosenbloom shook her head and rushed back to the kitchen. I don't understand. I didn't change my recipe one bit. The next day at lunchtime, Liza and Melody brought their lunch trays over to sit with Howie. Oh, so you got the kids going, bleh, the cookies are gross. There's not any trace of yesterday's Valentine's, Melody said. This place looks so ordinary now, Liza said sadly. I liked all the decorations. The three kids looked around the cafeteria. Not a single pink or red heart remained anywhere. I guess Miss Rosenbloom took them with her, Melody said. I heard the Principal Davies was telling the secretary that she was moving to the mountains. She wanted to be near the clouds on the mountaintop, he said. I guess we're free from Cupid's spell now, Howie sighed. Until next Valentine's Day, Liza added. Eddie brought his tray and sat down beside him. I fixed Carrie, he giggled. When she wasn't looking, I put pepper in her milk. I thought you liked Carrie, Howie said. So there's the kids sitting down at lunch, all friends again. Eddie rolled his eyes. Are you crazy? I can't stand her. Howie looked at Melody and Liza. Are you guys all still mad at each other, he asked. What are you talking about? We never fight, Melody said. So we're still friends, Howie asked. Hopefully getting back to things, or glad to get things back to the way they were. Of course, Melody and Liza said together. We love being your friend. And that's the end of Cupid Doesn't Flip Hamburgers.